Minecraft Championships, a game where streamers compete for glory in head-to-head contests like BattleBox and Parkour Tag. Now me, I'm just your average Minecrafter, so how exactly did I make it into MCC? Well, in short, I didn't. So you're probably wondering what happened. You see, I've got this friend who somehow managed to make a replica of some of the actual games, including Ace Race, Sky Battle, Hunger Games, Parkour Tag, plus TNT Run. In this tournament, we are separated into 4 teams consisting of 2 members, me and Ash as the Red Raptors, and whichever team gets the most points by the end of the night claims victory. Now with the fundamentals out of the way, it was time for the first competition, Hunger Games. How this works: there are several chests with loot scattered around the map, and whoever survives the longest is the winner. However, it's important to be mindful of the fact there is a short grace period when no one can fight each other. When we spawned in, we were stuck in these barrier boxes, giving us plenty of time to discuss our strategy. Ash was going to run to the center to collect loot whilst I gather items from chests around the map. And after our opening plan, I don't know. We didn't plan that far ahead. As we escaped from our prisons, I realized there was a chest right next to me containing a small bit of armor, and from there, my luck just kept getting better as I was able to get a full set of armor and a stack of weapons. And just as the grace period ended, I came across this large pyramid, and upon entering, I was faced with this large pool of lava with parkour across to a chest. Now I had to really think about whether I should do it or not, because if I failed this simple parkour, I would die. But in the end, I just did it anyway. The loot, however, was not worth it, because although I did receive 2 diamonds, the only way I could use them is if I went to the center of the map where the crafting tables were located, but doing so would be far too risky. About 10 seconds after leaving the pyramid, I spotted another player. Fortunately, they did not see me because I don't think I could survive a PvP battle. If you haven't guessed by now, I am terrible at Minecraft. No matter what I try, I always die. So my strategy from now on was just to collect loot, ignore players, and hope the rest accidentally fall in lava. Sadly, as soon as I was prepared to reenact my plan, they were foiled as I was spotted by another player, and instead of leaving me alone, they chased me. As I desperately ran for my life, their teammate also started following me, so with 2 people on my trail, I had to at least try and lose one of them. So my only hope was to run through the forest. This plan did have many risks though. 1. If I got stuck under a tree, I would die. 2. If I ran too close to the world edge, I would have nowhere to go, so I would die. 3. If I went the wrong way, I could run into another player and I would die. After I thought about all of these things, I realized I was in the forest anyway, so I didn't have much choice. Surprisingly, I managed to run out of the forest with only 1 player still after me. With not many options left, I headed for the nether region. However, this turned out to be a terrible idea because I wasn't aware that the border ended, meaning I had to fight. As they approached, I whipped out my golden axe where I was able to get a few hits in, but after an excruciatingly long 2 seconds, I died. Which shouldn't be a shock. Good thing we have teammates, am I right? It turns out Ash was watching this battle, and as soon as I died, she came in for the win. Since this was the first time ever talking to her, I didn't realize how good she actually was at the game, because after that last victory, she killed the final player, giving us the first place spot. The second event was TNT Run. This is a game with 3 rounds where as soon as you stand on a block, it disappears within a second. There are multiple layers, and as soon as you touch the bottom floor made out of grass, you're out. Now, as much as I would like to say I'm amazing at this game, I'm not. And that's proven by the fact I was the very first person to die. In round 2, I wanted to redeem myself, because if I continued to be lost, that would be embarrassing. So I jumped around like you're supposed to and achieved 2nd place. Now after this, you would think I would be able to easily get 1st, except the thing is, I failed miserably as I got 5th place, not even top 3. With that short game out of the way, it was time for the next one, Sky Battle. This is a team game with 3 rounds where each group gets their own island with resources, and on both sides is a hot air balloon containing unknown items. However, if 2 teams want those resources, there will most likely be a fight for them. But you must be careful because the border shrinks every so often, and if you're not out of there by the time it does, you'll die. And the winner is the last group standing. For our first round, we created a plan. I mine our island's resources while she goes to the center to prepare our base. Then we win. With the iron I collected, I made us both weapons and armor, then headed towards the center. We decided the best way to survive for as long as possible would be to barricade ourselves in except for the front so we could still observe the other teams. By the time we finished building, we weren't aware that someone was standing on our roof watching us, waiting for the perfect opportunity to strike. And when they finally jumped down, we managed to corner them, although they built a wall and escaped through the back. After a while of us standing around, someone had the audacity to try and kill us with their trident. So as a response, I attempted to hit them with my bow but missed every time. And since I was distracted, I didn't notice that their teammate ran around to our base for a surprise attack. This meant they knocked me off the edge without any warning. Luckily, it turns out it didn't matter all that much because the server did some weird lag thing causing the round to be restarted. So when the new round won, we didn't discuss a strategy and went our separate ways. I was curious about what was in the hot air balloon, so that's the direction I went. Unfortunately, I was disappointed to see there was nothing useful in the chest as it contained cobwebs and potions, but there was one thing that caught my eye: fishing rods. So I took them and headed back to our base. When I arrived, I was surprised to see every other team building a base in the sky, and thinking about it logically, it's probably so that they could see competitors and shoot their arrows a lot easier. With our disadvantage of being on the ground, we needed to think of a way to get them out. That's when I realized the fishing rods could potentially be the solution. But in order to catch them, we needed to take the risk of expanding our bridge without being knocked off. Luckily, no one noticed us doing so. Now for the hard part, fishing them out of their boxes. After several attempts at many different angles, we weren't even able to get a single player out, so we gave up and stood around doing nothing. Then, out of nowhere, Ash suddenly had the feeling that someone was on our roof. Now you see, I have no idea how Ash could have predicted that, but it was truly impressive as a moment later the players jumped down for the attack. Now it wasn't just one person, there were two, except the second was well hidden, and since I didn't know where they were coming from, I was caught off guard and knocked into the void. But you're probably wondering what happened to my teammate. Well, she also got pushed into the void. In the second round, we went with the same fishing strategy, not because it was smart, but because it was fun to go scar fishing. Almost instantly, Ash got killed and left me to fend for myself, and immediately after, that same person targeted me, but I managed to maneuver past them onto our island where I knocked them off the edge. A few minutes had gone by with everyone hidden in their barriers, so I eagerly waited for the perfect opportunity to fish them down, and eventually someone came out. Unfortunately, after countless attempts, I just ended up losing hearts to their trident until I was forced to hide and recover. After what felt like hours, no one was revealing themselves, so in order to get someone to fight me, I stood on the roof and waited for an attacker, and within a matter of mere minutes, someone approached. After I got a few hits in, I was surprisingly able to kill them. However, their teammate surely came looking for revenge, which was sadly granted to them as I was killed by their sword. But to be honest, I was pretty proud of myself, because it's not often that I'm actually able to survive a PvP battle, let alone kill two people. In the final round, I felt a little bit scammed as I was bridging towards the air balloon like every other match, and the blocks just suddenly despawned from right under my feet, resulting in an instant death. Now, as much as I would have liked the round to restart, it didn't. This meant it was on to the next game, Ace Race. In this event, everyone is given a trident with Riptide enchanted on it, which allows the user to fly through the air to complete 3 laps. The reason for this trident is because of the obstacle course, which consists of speed power-ups, parkour, water, and elytras. As soon as the race started, I was confident that I was going to win, because from what I've seen, all those famous streamers make it look so easy. But my cockiness soon got the better of me as I fell within the first 10 seconds. I thought about it, and I think it's because I'm not famous. That's why I don't have sufficient skills. But after that acknowledgement, I was actually doing decent. I managed to pass a few players and complete the majority of the course quickly. That was until I made it up to the elytra part. At first, I fell because it wasn't equipped properly, so I was like, must be a server error. But then it worked and I kept missing the entire platform. Not once, not twice, not 3 times, but too many to even count. This meant any sort of advantage I had was now lost as I went from second to a solid last place. And as embarrassing as it is to admit it, it took me 7 minutes to get past that spot. Now, unlike the real MCC, there is no time limit. This means the event ends once everyone has completed their 3 laps. As I began my second one, I was bombarded with questions such as, "Are you finished yet? Did you complete the race?" I could have lied and said yes and got an alright score, but it is against my morals to lie, so I said the truth. And if Minecraft characters had an eyebrow raise, that's exactly how I describe what happened. This time when I made it to the elytra part, I was able to complete it within 3 minutes. And on my final lap, everyone had already completed the map. But no matter what, I was determined to finish, and I did the elytra part in a whopping 2 minutes. Now you're probably wondering why I haven't mentioned the other parts of the course. That's because I didn't have any trouble with them. I actually did them quite fast and accurately. For the last game, it was parkour tag. In this 1-round event, someone was chosen to be the runner whilst the others must try and stay out of their reach for an entire minute, and if they can do that, they are crowned victorious. And for this game, me and Ash were runners. Since this didn't involve any sort of PvP, I thought I would finally be given the chance to redeem myself for my terrible failure in Ace Race. However, that dream was short-lived as I died at the 15-second mark as I missed a jump and fell onto the floor. But if there's one thing you should learn from this, if you're going to take part in an event where skill is required, make sure you actually have skill. But if you did enjoy, subscribing would really help me out a lot.